A divine gift. More than a healing story. It's a life-changing testimony. Barbaro Baez Alvarez. About the author. Barbaro Baez Alvarez is originally from Cuba and has been living in the United States since 2002. He is currently happily married to his wife, Yasmin A. Betancourt Perez, and with whom they have a beautiful daughter named Emily Baez Betancourt. Barbaro obtained a degree of Master of Arts in Visual Communication at Hodges University and has been working for NAMI Collier County since 2013. He is a person who considers himself kind, intelligent, hardworking, and persevering. He has always had a yearning to write a book that allows him to express his opinion about life and some experiences he had in the course of it. He took notes during his life and decided to share it with people who decide to read this book. Preface. This book is about the experiences of a young man who always wanted to find the meaning of life and find his purpose in it. His great desire is to write a book that allows other people to understand life much better. During his life, he had some experiences that awoke his interest of writing. These experiences had love in common, which was the fuel of his inspiration. When he was 12, he was inspired to write for the first time. This was due to a love of youth that never came true, which aroused in him the desire to express himself by writing since he did not feel able to do it personally. Suddenly, in an afternoon of anguish over the impotence of not being reciprocated, he found comfort in describing what he was feeling at that precise moment. Later, he decided to document every moment he felt inspired. What is really amazing is that when he started writing for the first time, he took notes of the day and time that it all started, with the feeling that in the uncertain future, he would connect all the scriptures he would do in the course of his life and perform a book. Part of his life was greatly impacted by moving to the United States when he was 15 years old. For political reasons between Cuba and the United States, and several events because of separating from his family, he was diagnosed with a disease known for bipolar disorder, which was identified when he was 17 years old. This book mentions how the disease was discovered and the impact it has had on his life. He shares some of his experiences that many people can identify with. Upon arriving in the United States, he had the opportunity to know more about God. He always had the general knowledge that God existed, but he had never studied anything in the Bible before. Then around his 19 years, he had a supernatural experience where God revealed his plans for humanity. Also, around his 32 years, when he began to document his book on the computer, he had another experience with God that helped him clarify his ideas to organize and complete his book. This was possible through his honesty and by expressing his deepest concerns he had at that time. Again, in a moment of helplessness with respect to a series of events that occurred in his life caused the need to express himself to God writing. He considered that by writing, it would allow him to record on paper the conversation he so longed to have with God at that time. Somehow, in his life, he has always had a great insight that has allowed him to be aware during the experiences he has lived. It is as if there was something or someone who was watching him to advise and support him in everything he needs. Over time, it has proven that this is due to the manifestation of a force or entity that surpasses human understanding. Part of his debate in this book is that it is God who advises him in his experiences or if it is only his conscience. He clarifies that he has never experienced a physical auditory voice in his head or something. They are just ideas and inspirations in his thoughts, which make him express the way he does it. In this book, you can find the scriptures he made in the course of his life. The main objective of this book is to demonstrate that there is a God who, although not everyone recognizes him or interprets him in the same way, is always present in our lives. This young man would like to share his testimony to prove that God is real and that he has a plan for everyone. It is not the intention of this book to try to persuade any person whether God exists but to sow a seed in the hearts of those who do not know him yet so that they may seek him and make the decision to accept him for themselves if they wish. This book can also serve as much as entertainment, education, or even inspiration. The things mentioned in this are true and of great value. As you will notice, this book consists of 2 books, where the name of the book that appears on the cover is My Divine Gift. Within this, it is divided by the first book named Barbaro Baez's Experience with God, Looking for Answers, and the second is The Mystery of My Life, by Barbaro Baez Alvarez. Right double quotation mark. It is recommended that depending on the interest of the reader is that you should choose the order to read the book. For example, if you are a spiritual person it is suggested to start with book 1 and later in book 2. However, if you are a person who is more interested in the field of mental health, it is suggested to read book 2 first and then book 1 for people who consider themselves open-minded and want to have a better experience. It is suggested that they read the book from beginning to end so that they have a better experience reading it and enjoy it more, as the warning announcement says, than it seems on the cover page. Barbaro wanted to make 2 separate books, but he considered it was important to publish both at the same time so that the reader has a more complete and accurate experience of his experiences and their origins. In the first book, he shares his supernatural experience with God, which is divided into 3 parts. Later in the second book, he narrates the course of his life from birth to the present day. This has been divided into 2 parts. The reason he shares part of his life is for people to understand that God does not need extraordinary people to communicate and manifest. In addition, there are many aspects of his life that are not only religious but also political and of our health well-being, which he believes can serve as both inspiration and entertainment for people who decide to read them. He believes that everything in this life is connected, and there is a unique purpose and objective that every human being must carry out during his life. It could be as simple as being born and dying logically, or contributing to the development of humanity. Somehow, he believes that, belonging to the first group is logical. He can also collaborate with some ideas and point of view toward improving and making life more meaningful. Note: the introduction and autobiography of this book were made in December 2018. During this time, it was when he gathered all his life's events and experiences and began to organize and create this book. Current note: you will notice that there will be dates at the beginning of each writing. This is because he wrote this book with the format of a diary, and he was documenting the writings as they were showing up in the course of his life. These are the original texts from each specific date that he wrote. Barbaro possesses proof of all this. Also, when you see a note, it is the exact note on that date, but when you see current note, this is a note that he wrote in the present day, the year 2019. He did this to explain and guide you through the book.